Welcome to 3 Count Commentary. We're going to talk about Elimination Chamber from March the 1st, 2025. So let's not beat around the bush. Let's just talk about the Elimination Chamber match, the men's match, and John Cena's heel turn. Because it's a very necessary thing to start with. It's the freshest thing on my mind. It's the thing I have the most opinions about. So let's discuss this. Cena wins the Elimination Chamber with a little bit of help from Seth Rollins. The Chamber match was fine. I'll really get into that later. Cody Rhodes tells The Rock to go F himself unbleeped on Peacock because he gave his soul to this ring and to these people a long time ago. Cena's in the ring. He just won the Elimination Chamber. He's very happy. For some reason, Travis Scott is there taking up space, smoking weed and drinking while in the ring. Just seemed very excessive. I don't know why he needed to be there, but he was there for some reason. He was in the shot. Cena goes over, congratulates Cody for being respectful and doing the right thing. And as they embrace, Cena looks over Cody's shoulder and The Rock does the throat cut. As you know, Cena kicks Cody in the balls, then proceeds to beat his whole ass, punching him in the head with the watch, hitting him in the head with the belt, strangled him with a tie. I mean, they went a little far with this angle. They did a lot of things that WWE usually frowns upon. Blood, strangulation, cursing. They really kind of let a lot go in this angle for a PG product. And so John Cena is a heel now. What are my thoughts? It's pretty simple. I don't like it. It doesn't make narrative sense. And I understand why they would do it. I'll give you the reasons why you would do it first. One of the reasons why you would do it is because Cena is no longer the golden goose. He's not around that much. So since this is his last year, his way of paying it forward would be essentially to slit his own wrists, figuratively, of course, and allow the character to bleed out so that Cody can have that space unmolested. He can be the unmitigated babyface going into WrestleMania. That would be one of the reasons why you would do it. The second reason why you would do it is you want to try to make a huge impact on this road to WrestleMania season. It's been boring up to this point. It's been shite up to this point. So they needed something big to really get the ball rolling, to really get people talking. Okay. The third reason why you would do it, and this is an in-storyline reason, is John Cena has not won a singles match in quite a while. And Cody has been relatively unbeaten in singles matches since he returned in 2022. So, and what you want to do is you want to play the card that Cena's pretty desperate. He wants to win number 17. He's very focused on winning number 17. This is his last WrestleMania. This is his last chance to get that title. And the next piece is the one that I mentioned before when I did the review, is that it throws everything John Cena believes into the garbage, makes him a complete and total hypocrite, and which works usually with a heel turn, is the character betrays their core principles. Well, hustle, loyalty, and respect, which are John Cena's core principles. Now he has thrown those in the trash, and he is brothers with The Rock, I guess. Now, those are some good reasons why it would work. If I listen to the fan reaction, the fans weren't really with it. Some of them were in some. Look, the people who are really in support of this are the 40, 50-year-old neckbeards who've been calling for John Cena to turn heel for 15 years. Most everybody else looked at this as a blatant, desperate attempt by Triple H and The Rock to make this WrestleMania season exciting. Maybe it'll work. You got to give it some time. But for me, well, I have a couple of questions. Outside of that desperation for number 17, why the fuck would John Cena do this? He has everything that The Rock could offer. He already has a Hollywood career. He's already been world champion 100 times. He's already main evented WrestleMania 100 times. He doesn't need to turn heel and align himself with The Rock. It wasn't necessary at all. How is he going to benefit from this alliance? The second thing is, why would John Cena sell out to The Rock? They're basically peers. Now, I know that, there's two different generations with, the Attitude Era and Ruthless Aggression. But for John Cena to be working up under another wrestler, and another thing if it was somebody literally in the office, it was Stephanie McMahon or Vince McMahon or something like that, it would make sense. For it to be The Rock, I don't. That's weird. This is now, it does play into one of the reasons why I talked about before, where Cena is playing into, hey, when in 2013 when him and The Rock were having their issues, and he was calling The Rock Dwayne and talking about how Dwayne was never there and he never came around. Well, that's basically what Cena is now. So in a sense, you could say that Cena is going Hollywood Cena on this whole thing. Maybe about to get rid of the jorts and the tennis shoes and, the multicolored shirts. Which, again, it should work narratively, but I don't understand what John Cena gets out of this deal, outside of a chance at number 17. And then what once this is over? You wasted this angle on a guy who's going to be done in December. So instead of trying to get 2 or 3 years out of this run, you're only going to get 10 months at the most. And then we don't even know how often that's going to happen. So then let's say Cena wins the belt, which should happen at this point. Cena wins the belt at WrestleMania, which, of course, like I said, should happen. Cena defends the title. Maybe you get that Punk match. You get a rematch with Cody. Maybe Cody wins the belt back at the end of the year to reset him. And then what? I guess you've done the work of having Roman put over Cody and then having Cena put over Cody. Okay, fair enough. But then what about WrestleMania next year? Again, this felt like it was a lot of out of nowhere kind of thing. There was no real build up to it outside of Cena's own desperation into going into WrestleMania. But all the wine and cheese and all that kind of stuff, he's got all that stuff he can handle. That's just my opinion, though. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. But it was a very weird narrative decision, and it feels to me like Triple H once more booking for the neckbeards, and The Rock throwing his political weight around and basically saying, I want John Cena to work for me. Why would John Cena want to work for The Rock? I mean, especially since he does not have to. He's like the one guy on the roster that does not have to. Like he has nothing to gain from siding with The Rock, from selling his soul to The Rock. It's just really, there's nothing to be gained. And people are going to say, let it play out. Look, when you sit down with a story, right, you should be able to see certain threads and elements with certain angles. Everybody knows they're going to play the desperation angle up. They're probably going to play the Cena, all of his fans are all grown up. They're probably going to play the angle of trying to get those fans to become interested in the show again. But maybe it works. But again, long term is the plan here. And then maybe you get the angle of Cena wins the belt, and now he gets to work as a heel champion for the rest of the year. And he doesn't get to be the mascot anymore. Now Cody's the mascot. But Cody has been a terrible champion. I know he's a popular champion, but he's been terrible. And Cena's going to be terrible because the booker sucks. And it's literally that simple. He doesn't know how to... If he could make Cody interesting without having to do all this, he wouldn't need to do all this. But it seems to me like this was a last-ditch effort to try to make this thing jump and maybe pick up some lagging ticket sales in the future, especially since ticket prices have gone through the roof. But again, it seems like neckbeards with no thought of the future booked this idea, and now they're trying to play the wait and see game as people are sour on it because it's too late. Like if you were going to do something like this, it was a much better way to do it. Having Cena be The Rock's handmaid just doesn't make any fucking sense, you know, because again, there's nothing to be gained from it. So I don't know. But at least it does set up a lot of narrative stories. It sets up Cena as a heel champion going forward because he's got to win the belt. If he doesn't win the belt, then there's no point to doing this. Maybe Cena as a heel versus Roman, Cena as a heel versus CM Punk, and of course Cody. You could actually finish the entire year just off those 3 feuds if he wrestles those guys more than once. You can actually fill up the whole calendar with just those 3 feuds. So there's a lot of potential there in terms of matches and different things like that, but I don't see how this is going to be beneficial to anybody, and it seems like Triple H is really trying very, very hard to please the same audience who watches NXT Black and Gold, and not people who actually care about storytelling and actually care about the WWE. It was like, we need to have our own little Hulk Hogan moment. And every time people have tried that, it has not worked because it has not been as natural and people have seen it coming. Like, once Cena won the Chamber and he was still in the ring when this thing happened, people saw it coming, right? I was still a little bit surprised, but I still kind of saw it coming too, because I also kind of started thinking, like, if I was a Mark Booker, what would I do? Well, if I was a Mark Booker, what I would do is I would turn John Cena. Because that's what all the dirt sheets and all of the people online have been saying for 25 years or whatever, is you turn John Cena. Maybe not 25 years, because that would take you back to 1999. But like 15 years at least. You need to turn John Cena. You got to do it. It's like, why? Because everybody boos him already. So then what? You could turn around and boo him until you could cheer him? Because that's all that's going to happen now, is they're going to cheer him now. It doesn't matter. Ultimately, it doesn't matter. But, so they did it. Now, let's talk about the Chamber match. Drew McIntyre, Seth Rollins, CM Punk, Damian Priest, Logan Paul. The match itself was fine. Logan Paul interested match, waving the United States flag. He got a loud "fuck you, Logan" chant later in the match as well. They had some interesting storyline stuff going on here. Damian Priest rolls up Drew McIntyre to get a pin on him. It was another Drew McIntyre was not focused storyline. I mean, he's really being done dirty. I mean, really dirty. They did a 7 Deadly Sins theme for the vignette before the match, and McIntyre got greed, which I'm not sure fits. I think McIntyre fits wrath mostly. He's been very angry over the last year or two, very frustrated, very focused on destroying individual guys, and now he's a little bit more distracted. So I don't think greed works. I think greed works mostly for Rollins, because greed and gluttony are pretty much, they're very similar. But I think greed works for Rollins mostly. But I don't, whatever, it doesn't matter. So Damian Priest loses to a frog splash after Damian Priest is he's hit with another finish first, Claymore, and then it's followed with a frog splash by Logan Paul. Damian Priest got Wrath as his deadly sin. In my opinion, he shouldn't even be in this match. So I can't even tell you how he fits. Like, he shouldn't even be here. It's not because I dislike Damian Priest, because he's not on the same level as a lot of these other guys in the match. But I definitely don't think he should have been Wrath. I definitely think he probably should have been Gluttony at this point. Because his whole thing should have been, well, if his character was the original character, it would have been, you know, all about living forever and, you know, wanting the most out of life and all that kind of stuff. Remember, he was a rock star, drinking champagne and all that. You could have played that into it. I don't understand how Wrath fits with him. Logan Paul got beat with a GTS. He actually did okay in this match too. I got a little kick out of Logan Paul being in this thing. Again, athletically, he's tremendous. His work is, he needs to find a character outside of I'm Logan Paul, and he needs to learn how to get involved with these dueling promos. That's a very big weakness, and that tends to be the biggest weakness for people who are very athletic, is they tend to slack on the mic. But Logan Paul, his deadly sin was sloth, which fits. He wants all the rewards with almost none of the work. So that makes perfect sense for him. Seth Rollins gets beats with a GTS plus an FU, which was a pretty good combination of moves. Rollins took a nap in this match, which, you know, usually guys take naps in the Royal Rumble. You know, very rare that guys take a nap in the Elimination Chamber, but he went to sleep for a little while during the Punk Cena sequence of the match that I'll get to in a second. Seth Rollins ended up getting gluttony for his deadly sin, when it should have just been lust, if we're being honest. Mainly because Seth Rollins has that. You could also use a synonym for desire, you know, because gluttony is all about the physical stuff. You know, greed is about, you know, material possessions. But Rollins is saying his character is about, you know, food and drink. It's like not so. And then there's not much in the way of a metaphysical way of looking at it that could make it work. But I think lust, which you could translate to passion, which they did for everybody. Everybody has lust. It's like, that was kind of, I think Rollins should have got lust, because you could synonym that to passion, and you could show how strongly Rollins feels about being world champion, you know, main event at WrestleMania, going back all these years, fighting guys like Roman and being world champion himself. I think you could have gone that route, but he was beaten in a pretty sweet way. It made him look really strong on the way out. And Punk, when he was defeated by the STFU, which was actually cinched in quite a bit this time. There was an excellent stretch right before the big finish with Punk and Cena, where they wrestled a little bit back and forth, countering each other's moves. They actually hugged for respect earlier in the match. Cena countered the GTS into the STFU. Then Punk got out of that and put him in the Anaconda Vice. Then they kind of went back and forth for a little bit. Rollins got back involved. At some point, Punk pinned Rollins. And once Rollins was gone, Punk and Cena were left. Before Rollins left, he stomped Punk on the flat part of the cage. Cena took advantage of that, pulled him off the ropes, put him in the STFU, and the referee called it as Punk was not responding. So when it comes to Punk, they gave him envy as his deadly sin, which works. That works perfectly. And it would have made more sense for Punk to turn heel and join The Rock. Due to this, Punk never had what The Rock has, and never had what Cena's got, and didn't have the opportunities that those guys had. So it would have made perfect sense if he'd have been the one to turn, even though, I mean, again, it abandons the core of his character, which would have made it work. But it would have made more narrative sense, considering Punk doesn't have all the stuff that Cena has, and doesn't have all the stuff that Rock has. But they got his deadly sin 100% correct. Now, Cena, who is the winner of the match, his deadly sin was pride. And that fits too, because for him, it's all about his legacy, him wanting to break number 17, him wanting to do more than, and his ego is being bruised with all the losses lately. And this is a way of turning it all around. So at least it makes that sense. So I like the Seven Deadly Sins thing. I'm just not sure I would have gone with McIntyre on Greed or Priest in the match at all, let alone being Wrath. But it was fine. The match itself was pretty good. It wasn't the best Elimination Chamber match I've ever seen, but it wasn't the worst. I really liked the Cena and Punk stuff near the end. I think they did a really good job. Cena is very pasty. I mean, he was bleached white in this match, and he was super bald. I wish that this heel turn just means he goes and gets a tan, and maybe shaves off that bald spot, and maybe you get suited Cena for the rest of his run in WWE. He gets to go back to dressing like an adult, like he does when you go on regular TV shows. Like when he goes on daytime TV shows, he dresses like an adult. Maybe that's what happens now. Is Cena's like, man, I'm 50. I don't want to walk around in jorts and light blue t-shirts anymore. Okay, well, nobody told you had to do that. You could have still been John Cena in a suit, but goddamn. Hopefully he doesn't go streaking or put on a skirt or something like that. I mean, the John Cena humiliation rituals just continue. They just never seem to end, do they? Alright, I do like the idea of Cena versus Cody Rhodes in the main event of WrestleMania. I think that's a phenomenal match. It's the right match, as far as I'm concerned. You could tell that Cody politicked very hard to get this match. And since he is the top guy, and since he is the guy that going forward, even though I think Cody says he don't have that much time left. He's like 38 or something like that. I don't think he wants to wrestle well until his 40s. But it makes some sense. Again, I will throw some bail to people who say, hey, here's all the positive things about the Cena heel turn. I will grant that. Okay, these are the positive things about the Cena heel turn. Let's see if they can actually pull that off and make that make sense. Because I don't think so. But the biggest thing that makes sense to me is that Cena recognizes that his time is over. And he wants to make Cody. And the best way for him to do that is to pull out Andre the Giant by essentially slitting his own wrists, telling everybody, look, it's over for me. I'm going to slowly but surely bleed out. I might get the title this time, but the whole purpose of me being champion is to put the belt back on Cody later this year. That would be the only way that this would make sense. And that seems to me to be exactly what's going to happen. Because Triple H doesn't really put too much thought into things. So, there's that. Again, I'm not really that invested. I was never really that invested in John Cena as a character anyway. I was a little too old when he became a really big star. But again, there's a lot of people who, for them, this is the greatest night of their lives because this is what they wanted all the time. The problem with giving people what they want is once they get it, they don't want it anymore. And I'm telling you, that's like they said they wanted The Rock back. They remember all these people who claimed they wanted The Rock back. And then as soon as The Rock shows up, The Rock's ruining everything. Why is The Rock here? It was the same thing when they said they wanted Roman Reigns to turn heel. Oh, I love Roman Reigns. Then it's Roman Reigns as a champion too much. He's taking up too much time. He doesn't wrestle enough. Oh, his matches are too long. It's like, you can't keep feeding these people and expecting them to actually appreciate what you give them. You have to create better stories that build an audience. Not killing off characters because, well, this is what these people want. Okay, you give them what they want for, and they care for a short time, and then they go off, they totter off and start talking about how great Daniel Garcia is or some shit, right? So, it really doesn't make much sense to me to do this, but I understand why they would do it. Intellectually, I understand. And business-wise, I understand. Because now, people are going to want to see Cena promoted and produced much like The Rock. A change in theme, change in wardrobe, change in look, more serious demeanor. They're going to want to see that because they don't know what it looks like. But once they see what it looks like, I'm thinking 4 or 5 months, they're going to flip on a dime and they're going to be ready to take the belt off Cena, because now you've done what I asked you to do. Now I'm bored with it. I want you to put the belt on LA Knight or something like that. Because this is how people are. And that's why I say booking for the neckbeards is not, it's not smart. It's just not smart. They are the most fickle audience in the world. They're incredibly fickle. Now in wrestling, you can turn pretty much anybody except Ricky Steamboat and Rey Mysterio. But this is going to end up, to me, it's going to be more like Jeff Hardy in TNA than Hulk Hogan in WCW. It's like, technically you can do it. You know, you technically turned Jeff Hardy heel and gave him his own stable. But how much did it really work? Did it really work? Does anybody really care about Jeff Hardy as a heel in TNA? No, nobody gave a shit, because you were taking somebody that everybody loves and then trying to flip it because you wanted to try to make another Hulk Hogan moment. But there can only be one Hulk Hogan moment, you know? So, and plus, one of the reasons why I do have a problem with this is they didn't really build up the relationship between Cody and Cena enough, I think. The Hogan formula is really for Hogan to befriend somebody, to trust them, and then they betray Hulkamania. You know, that's sort of the 80s trope. You know, when Andre turned, when Paul Orndorff turned, later Sergeant Slaughter, you know, Macho Man Randy Savage. Usually that works because they spent some time really ingratiating that other guy into Hulk Hogan, treating him like he's a Hulkamaniac, like he's, you know, down with the Demandments and all that stuff. He's Hulk Hogan's tag team partner for a little time. And then he flips on Hogan, and it creates an incredible amount of heat, and he's able to draw some money. But that ended up being, for a lot of people, the only time they ever draw money in the business. And then after 4 or 6 months, it's over. I mean, look at a guy like Paul Orndorff, who is a great talent. Once those couple of months with him feuding with Hogan, they were doing really big business. But then look at Paul Orndorff's career after that. You know, you got to really consider if that's what you want to do to fucking John Cena. You know, you should really consider that, because John Cena could end up much like Andre the Giant, where, you know, he's going to be mostly known for sacrificing his character and killing it off. And it depends on how far they go, but they have to go all the way. There's no point in half-assing it at this point. Like, once you've already started it, you might as well just go full born with it. So you got to go all the way. And maybe even go to the point where you almost never see this version, the babyface version of John Cena, ever again. Much like Roman Reigns has decided that the big dog never happened, is you're going to have to get to the point where, you know, the babyface John Cena has never happened. That might be the only way you can get this thing to work, is full 100% commitment from John Cena and the audience. But I don't know if the audience is going to be there. They're on it right now. They're jumping on the train right now. But let's see if it lasts. You got a couple of weeks before WrestleMania. You got some time, and we'll see if they actually start booing, because that's going to be the measure of how much money they're going to make. But it's also, to a degree, one of the things that WWE kind of does when they're changing the guard, is they start to wean down the other guy. And they've done that with Roman to a degree, and now they're doing it with Cena. It's amazing that they got Roman to do it first. But that's going to be their general idea. It worked with Hogan. It worked with Roman. It could work with Cena. It's like, this whole thing with Roman was very carefully crafted. And it leaned very heavily on his real life relationships in the company. And also, it was during the pandemic where he got time to lay that foundation to do that soap opera of verbal storytelling that he got to do, because nobody really wanted to watch a bunch of matches, cold matches especially, in an empty goddamn arena. Is John Cena ready? Can he do that in front of a live crowd? And we know that he can, but is the live crowd going to accept it? You know, so we'll see. And I don't want to play the wait and see game because I don't really want to give Triple H that much time. Because wait and see could be 8 months from now, you know. But I'm gonna give him to WrestleMania. I'm gonna hope he has an idea that could actually work. Because what I'm looking at right now is these guys are desperate to make this WrestleMania thing work. When in reality, this was a break glass in case of emergency kind of storyline, and it wasn't necessary. And also, it doesn't make sense because John Cena has everything that The Rock could possibly offer. All right, let's move on to something else finally. Part of my disgust, I'm sorry, I gotta continue this. Part of my disgust about this whole thing is that now all these netbeards who's hated John Cena for all these years are not going to pretend that they're the hugest fans. Try to meme this thing into being just like Hogan. Trying to meme this thing into, it's an all-timer. I didn't see this coming. Like, okay, whatever. Who gives a fuck? But here's the biggest issue for me. All right? So many of these people are like, he should just be the doctor of thugonomics again. What? You want to go backwards? You have this epic opportunity and you want to go backwards? He need to go back to being a rapper gimmick. What? Why the fuck would he do that? Why would you go through all of this effort just to go backwards? You have to go forward, all right? I want Cena to change everything. The music, the look, everything. He needs to change everything. One of my big issues with this also is not only did we do this with The Rock, but we did it with Batista as well. Remember they did Hollywood Batista, where he came back, got booed, Bootista, where they where he came back as a big Hollywood celebrity and they booed him and hated him because he was a big star now. So to me, they're not treading any new ground yet. So that's where the benefit of space and time lies for me, is for it to do something that I haven't seen already. If it's just going to be a bootleg Batista, if it's going to be a bootleg version of The Rock, if they're going to try to revert John Cena to Doctor of Thugonomics, I don't want to see any of that shit. I want to see something new, something fresh from John Cena. I want to hear something I've never heard from John Cena before. I want a different approach to John Cena. I want something that really cements what this is. Who is John Cena today? That's what I want to see. What does John Cena mean for wrestling today? Having him work underneath The Rock, to me, doesn't make any goddamn sense. I hate that idea because Cena has always been his own guy. And now he's going to be subservient to The Rock. It's like, ugh, that sucks. But not only do you have to have a very good reason to do that, but you have to change his presentation. Everything about his presentation needs to change. Another thing that I don't like about this, because I don't like a lot about this, is it feels to me like The Rock just wants to be cool. And The Rock being cool is very important to The Rock. And The Rock having the stroke to get this done, him and Cody, because Cody been politicking and wrestled John Cena all this time, and all the neck beards have been questioning whether it should happen all the time. So The Rock having the stroke to get this thing done, and getting to put himself above John Cena, and say, well, now John Cena, you work for me, even though that doesn't make any fucking sense. That it's very important. That's probably why Travis Scott was there. Travis Scott was there because he's cool to this young audience. And The Rock, who's almost 60, is like, I desperately need to be cool. So I'm going to come out to Lil Wayne songs. I'm going to come out to Travis Scott songs. I'm going to hang out with rappers. And I'm going to be smack dab in the middle of the ring when John Cena turns heel. Because this is very important to me that I am the centerpiece of the WWE. And it might be very important for Ari Emanuel and all the other bums up in the offices in Endeavor. But for me, it desperately feels like The Rock wants to be a part of it, but he doesn't want to wrestle. Everybody keeps saying that. The money isn't in Rock having somebody work underneath him. The money is in Rock wrestling himself. Rock needed to wrestle Cody himself. And now they're going to take another year of Rock and Cody beefing and kick the ball down the road. When exactly is Cody going to wrestle The Rock? So they kind of putting that off. The Rock didn't want to put the fucking guy over. But he'll have Roman put him over. He'll have John Cena put him over. But The Rock himself will be like, maybe next year, before he decides to recruit Jacob Fatu or something like that. But overall, I'm glad people are very excited about it. I just don't like the audience that are excited about it. I'm absolutely a hater. Everybody who is excited about this thing is a jabroni. These people you're going to get bored of it in a couple of weeks anyway. I already know. I'm going to keep receipts to see how many of you people are still excited in May. Or, it was the same exact thing when I said, and I proved to be right, by the way, when CM Punk showed up in AEW. I said, okay, it was great. Great moment. Give it 6 months. Give it 8 months. Give it a year. Now, Cena, 6 months, 8 months, or whatever, this thing is pretty much over at that point because this is a retirement tour. But is it going to disrupt the rest of the program to the point where the program will actually suffer? And I'm willing to, the way Triple H books, I'm willing to think that it will. I'm almost willing to guess that it will. But I'm going to give it a chance. I'm going to try to be fair. I always try to be fair. That's me, MongoSlade, always trying to give people the benefit of the doubt, even when they don't deserve it. The Rock does not deserve it. Triple H does not deserve it. But I'm going to try it anyway because John Cena deserves it. He's wanted to turn heel for a while now. Vince would never let it happen because he was the goose who laid the golden eggs. But now Cena is officially saying, that's it. I'm done. And proof that I'm done is that I'm going to kill the character. Death to Smoochie. That's it. I'm done. And win, lose, or draw, however this turns out, he tried it. And he doesn't want to go out without any regrets. And I can't blame the guy for that. John Cena is the only person in this whole thing that I don't have contempt for in terms of them doing this. Triple H wants to be the guy who pulled the trigger. He got to be that guy. A lot of people are on their knees about Papa H. He did it. Vince would never do it, but Triple H did it. Oh, he takes such creative risks. And then, of course, The Rock wants to be cool, so he had to be involved. But John Cena's wanted to turn heel for a while now. And there was always that reluctance to do so because he was going to keep coming back. And he would always sell merchandise, t-shirts, or whatever. Now he's seen Roman take that risk, and Roman became bigger after turning heel. So it was like, it worked for Andre the Giant. It worked for Hulk Hogan. Can it work? It worked for The Rock. Can it work for me? And I will say it didn't work for Stone Cold Steve Austin. It didn't work for Jeff Hardy. It didn't. There's a 50-50 chance that it won't work, but I'm willing to let the guy give it a chance. I think he's sacrificed enough for the young people. He's sacrificed enough, looking kind of foolish out there in the smoochy costume, and now he wants to get out of it. I'm not mad at him for wanting to get out of it. He's 50. It's time to put that shit away. But I also don't think that you giving the neckbeards what they want will do anything except create a more fickle fan base. And now you've done this. Again, now you've broken the glass on the one thing that you probably could have done if business was going sour and turned everything around. And, well, they really didn't have a choice because this is his last year. But John Cena wants to try it. I'm willing to give John Cena the benefit of the doubt. Not Triple H, not The Rock. I know I kind of mentioned it a couple of times now, but it reminds me a lot of that movie Death to Smoochie. If you've never seen Death to Smoochie, you should go watch it. It's a Robin Williams, Ed Norton flick. It's about children's daytime TV shows, like Barney, the dinosaur, Sesame Street, or whatever. And the plot is the popular children's daytime cartoon guy, Rainbow Randolph, gets caught up in the middle of a scandal and he gets replaced by this new character called Smoochie. Then he becomes obsessed with Smoochie and wanting to kill Smoochie. So the whole thing here is maybe you pull that kind of thing where John Cena has been surpassed by Cody Rhodes, and he's Rainbow Randolph in this situation, who is like, I'm John fucking Cena. I'm the star here. He's taking my time slot. That could be fun if they want to do something like that. So I'm willing to give John Cena the opportunity. I really don't care about the rest of these people, but I know Cena doesn't want to end his career with regrets. Now, I may continue talking about this thing later because it's such a big story, but I'm going to try to move on and talk about other things. Now, match number 3, Sami Zayn versus Kevin Owens, unsanctioned match. It was a good fight. I am kind of tired of watching these guys wrestle, though. I feel like I've seen every kind of match that these guys could possibly do. They had mood lighting for this thing, which was dim spotlight. Very much, it's very weird, actually, very intimate. I guess it kind of fits the uncomfortable nature of the feud, but very uncomfortable lighting. All the Mystico fans are out there like, what? He can't see. How can they wrestle when they got the... all the excuses that Mystico was fucking up because he couldn't see. It was too dark. Get lost. Anyway, Sami Zayn threw Kevin Owens through a couple of tables with backdrops, what they kept calling Blue Thunder Bombs, which were not the case. The Fisherman Buster is actually very fucking cool. Kevin Owens hits a Fisherman Buster onto a chair. And then he did it again off the second turnbuckle or the top turnbuckle through a table. Very cool. They beat up some refs. A haluva kick to the referee by accident. Kevin Owens gets a delayed count. Then he attacks the second referee on purpose, leading to another referee coming out there. Then there was a barbed wire chair. The Blue Thunder Bomb onto the barbed wire chair, which was pretty crazy. Only a 2 count for that. Kevin Owens wrestles in a t-shirt, by the way, so there's no reason to get too excited about this barbed wire thing. Then we get to the final stretch where Kevin Owens power bombs Sami Zayn on the ring apron. He goes for a second one, botches it. Sami Zayn then fires back up because he botched it, and Kevin Owens has to give him a second one, then throws him into the ring and pins him 1, 2, 3. Kevin Owens defeats Sami Zayn. Well, it was what I expected in terms of Kevin Owens winning the match because he was the one who has a definitive future for WrestleMania. Sami Zayn is... He's lost in the sauce right now. I guess they'll figure it out sooner rather than later, but he's lost in the sauce. Kevin Owens was about to continue the beating on Sami Zayn when Randy Orton's theme song plays. Randy walks to the ring with all the speed of The Undertaker. I mean, he literally takes forever. Kevin Owens could have dissected Sami Zayn and started selling the parts by the time Randy got to the ring. Randy then takes off his vest. They go in there, they fight a little bit. RKO. Then Kevin Owens is laid out, and Randy picks up a chair. He's going to hit Kevin Owens with the chair. Then he thought better about it. He put the chair down. He's going to kick him in the head. So he's going to punt Kevin Owens. And right as he was mid-run, security jumped in there and grabbed Randy. Kevin Owens then rolled out of the ring and left. A great heat spot on the security guys, by the way, by having them grab Randy so he wouldn't kick Kevin Owens in the head. That was good. That was good. So the post match was pretty good. The match itself was also quite good. So now we clearly know where Kevin Owens is going for WrestleMania. He's wrestling Randy Orton. Okay. Are they going to have that as a regular match, or are they going to gimmick that thing up? It seemed like the right idea to gimmick it up, basically because I'm pretty sure Randy's not going to want to do regular bumps and stuff. Maybe a last man standing match or something like that could make this thing a little bit more interesting. It feels like a very strong mid-card match, which, WrestleMania is all about. Sometimes there's big, strong mid-card matches, and this seems like it's going to be one of them. But not much to say about this, except for it was a filler match that turned out to be pretty good. It had some emotional content with Sami Zayn fighting for his life at the end, which just shows how much of a really smart professional wrestler he is, because he realized that it was botched, but he didn't just go cold fish, do it again. He made Kevin earn it. He made Kevin earn doing it again. Also, Wade Barrett called Kevin Owens subhuman scum, which was great. Because I'm not sure if Wade Barrett is supposed to be the heel commentator or not, but him calling Kevin Owens subhuman scum was amazing. All right, backwards. We're still going backwards. Tiffany Stratton and Trish Stratus defeats Nia Jax and Candice LeRae. What is there to say about this match, really? Tiffany Stratton is a tremendous in-ring talent. Not much on the microphone, even though she would willingly admit that herself. The crowd was not as into it as you would think, considering Trish Stratus was in this match, and I'm pretty sure that's Nia Jax and Candice LeRae's fault. Nia Jax was Nia Jax, Candice LeRae was Candice LeRae, and it was what it was. It just didn't seem to really get off the ground as far as I'm concerned. I guess giving Tiffany Stratton the rub was the point of the match, and they successfully did that. So, congratulations, Tiffany. And Charlotte had nothing to do with this. She was not even there. She didn't even show up on this show to even do the obligatory stare down that everybody did. Everybody stared down with somebody except Charlotte. She didn't appear at all to stare down with Tiffany. I mean, this is so weird. It's so awkward. My God. All right, let's talk about the Women's Elimination Chamber match. So, Liv Morgan, Naomi, Bianca Belair, Roxanne Perez, Bayley, and Alexa Bliss. Okay, let's get into it. At the beginning of the match, after Liv Morgan and Naomi are the last two right before the cage door is locked, Jade Cargill's theme plays, and Liv Morgan is in the ring. She's basically pleading as a very Terminator-ish Jade Cargill marches to the ring. She then flinches as Jade attacks Naomi. She beats the absolute dog shit out of Naomi. I mean, she just banged her head against the pot 100 times, just really pummeled Naomi, and then smashed her head in the cage door. Naomi is Naomi cannot continue, is disqualified from the match, and Jade Cargill just walks off. Now, emotional content occurs as Bianca is banging on her pod, yelling at Jade to stop doing this. Why are you doing this? As Jade is just heartlessly murdering Naomi. Now, this is solid. This is solid. You know, Jade waiting for Naomi to be trapped in the cage. The ambush that occurs. Even though it's not technically an ambush, there's only one way in and one way out. Naomi just basically stood there and got executed, which tells me kind of the way that it happened, that she wasn't expecting it. So is it that Naomi is just collateral damage? So this is what led me to think that maybe it's a swerve, because Naomi was standing over in the corner and just kind of standing there. You know, it didn't seem to be concerned about Jade returning. Didn't seem surprised by it. Didn't really sell it at all. Liv was doing all the selling. And Bianca was doing all the selling after Naomi started getting her shit kicked in. So something tells me it's a conspiracy. And that it might end up being both Bianca and Naomi, that they conspired to take out Jade Cargill so that they can be the tag team champions, and Jade has to go and sit at home. Could that be the case? Well, now that they've turned John Cena heel, they can just turn anybody heel. Now, why not just turn Rey Mysterio heel? Why not just turn Bianca Belair heel? I mean, what difference does it make at this point? There's no such thing as, baby faces, and there's no point in having fucking heroes at this point. Especially since you're going to just, if the storyline is what we think it is, then Rhea Ripley is going to end up being the baby face. So you might as well turn Bianca heel. At this point, I would imagine do you really want to do it twice in one WrestleMania? But from the looks of things, the idea is maybe Jade couldn't get to Bianca because Bianca's behind the glass. She couldn't get in there. So she took out Naomi instead as a consolation prize. Kind of a, this is what I got for you later kind of gimmick. And it could be that Naomi didn't do anything. That she was completely innocent. And she was just collateral damage. That could be. Especially if the idea is that Bianca is going to wrestle Rhea Ripley. Bianca won the match, obviously. There's not much to discuss when it comes to the Women's Elimination Chamber match, to be quite honest. I just go through the finishes real quick so I can get back to what I was talking about. Roxanne Perez got pinned with a Twisted Bliss. Bayley took a loss to an Oblivion. Alexa got rolled up in a jackknife pin. And Liv Morgan, who was in the final with Bianca Belair, they had a nice spot near the end, because Liv is becoming a pretty decent pro wrestler. She's getting her confidence, so she's starting to look better and better. They were doing a spot where she was getting yo-yoed back and forth. I'm talking about Bianca Belair, about her hair. So she was being yanked back and then kicked into the cage. Yanked back, kicked into the cage, kind of back and forth. They also did a spot where Bianca whipped Liv with her hair while she was on top of the pod, which was crazy, and it was amazing that after she got whipped, Liv was still holding on to the pod instead of just falling. But the big finish comes with Liv trying to hit Oblivion, and it gets countered into the KOD. So after that, Rhea Ripley comes out to confront Bianca, and then here comes Io Sky, because Rhea Ripley and Io Sky are going to have their match on Monday to decide who's going to wrestle Bianca at WrestleMania. I fully expect Rhea Ripley to win that match without much drama. I don't think there's going to be a multiple woman match, and it shouldn't be. It should be straight up Bianca versus Rhea Ripley. Now, to discuss the storyline. All right, so one of my concerns is with the savage nature of the beating that Jade Cargill gave to Naomi. The fact that it came across like Naomi had been blindsided. The fact that she went so far as to ram her head against that pod that many times, crush her head with the goddamn cage door. There is a certain level that you can go with a baby face before they start looking like a heel. And what I mean by that, as I said earlier, is that there's a certain amount of sympathy that comes with Naomi when she was seemingly not expecting this. That's why I said the idea should have been that you should have foreshadowed that Naomi was concerned about Jade Cargill coming out. Her not being all that concerned about it meant that she probably thought she was going to get away with it. Maybe that was it. But also the savage nature of it kind of put some sympathy on Naomi, which is not what you wanted, because she, apparently almost murdered Jade. But also, it could be a twist, a narrative twist, that, as I said previously, Jade couldn't get to Bianca, so she took out Naomi instead. And it could either be a conspiracy between Naomi and Bianca. B, Bianca had no idea Naomi had done this, and she's as surprised as everybody else. Or D, Jade does not care whether Bianca was in on it or not. She's angry that this thing happened to her, and maybe they played a whole Bianca wasn't a good friend when Jade was down kind of gimmick. So that all is going to end up with Jade as a negative, as a heel, with the exception of after she blows through Naomi. And I certainly think Naomi needs some help, because there's nothing in her moveset. There's nothing in her presentation. Now if you got to have a heel Naomi, you're going to have to change her presentation too. But you're going to have these weeks and weeks of story where Bianca's going to question whether Naomi really did this or not. And that's probably going to be a distraction going into her match at WrestleMania, which means you could have Bianca lose because she was too distracted by this whole thing between Jade and Naomi. Or, like I said previously, you could have Bianca win that match, win that title, and then you have Jade go too far in getting her revenge on Naomi and saying, it's not enough that I beat up Naomi, I'm also going to beat up Bianca. And I'm going to beat up Bianca because she was a bad friend when I was injured. She never contacted me. She never checked on me. She lied and said that I wasn't answering her text messages. She never called me. You know, that kind of thing. So you have a lot of options there. It depends on how straightforward or how complex they want to make the story. Triple H probably wants to keep it pretty simple. And keeping it simple would probably just flatly place the blame on Naomi. And maybe the next couple of weeks is going to be them trying to wring a confession out of Naomi. Now that she's injured, that she's down and out, you don't have to do it immediately. You can have Naomi off TV for 2 weeks, and then she shows back up, and she's a completely different person with a completely different attitude. She calls out Jade. They have words. Naomi, of course, kind of goes back and forth about whether she's going to admit it or not. Jade can say, I know it was you. Naomi can say, it wasn't me. You know, blah, 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 blah. And then, you know, you get to the big reveal. Now, do you have the big reveal before WrestleMania that it really was Naomi? Because at this point, it doesn't really matter if it's Naomi or not. They have to have the match because Jade kicked her shit in, right? So they got to fight at some point. So do you, after WrestleMania, pull the card that there was more footage and it wasn't really Naomi, but it was Bianca wearing one of Naomi's wigs? Or it was one of these other black girls running around wearing one of Naomi's wigs in her costume or whatever. It was a Naomi impersonator, but that would be a little bit more complex. That's something I probably would do. You know, that's something Vince probably would do too, probably make it too complicated. I certainly would have had like footage of Jakara Jackson dressed like Naomi attacking Jade Cargill, and then everybody would think it's Naomi, and then you have to do like the HD footage and get really close and be like, wait a minute, that's not Naomi. And then you realize Jade damn near murdered Naomi for no reason. That would be a little bit extra. But something tells me they're just going to write Naomi off for a while. She's going to come back full of piss and vinegar, wanting to hurt Jade because Jade took her out, and they're going to be arguing about which one attacked the other. And having Bianca be the ultimate culprit, but she's tucked away on Raw, that means that there's going to be a reveal months later that it was really Bianca that attacked Jade, or that she had a hand in it. And I'm not sure how I feel about that, if we're being honest. I'm just not certain I'm okay with that. But then again, like I said before, you could turn anybody heel once you turn John Cena heel. I mean, it is what it is at this point. All right, so that's Elimination Chamber. Those are my thoughts. The national anthem got booed by the Canadians again. It keeps happening because Trump antagonized Canada. I don't care that they booed the national anthem. I don't give a shit. They're Canadians. Of course they're going to. Why would they cheer for somebody else's national anthem? Pat McAfee was on commentary being very indignant about the whole thing, though. And that really pissed off a lot of the neckbeards on the internet. How could Pat McAfee keep talking about how great the United States is on commentary? Why does he keep doing that? He's from Middle America, you motherfuckers. He's from Indiana. He is one of the most American motherfuckers walking the face of the earth. Of course he loves the good old-fashioned USA. Why wouldn't he? For God's sake. This is God's country. Why wouldn't he love it? Who cares about these dang blasted communist Canadians? Who cares about these people? Get some help, Canada. Overall, though, I think that the show did what it needed to do in terms of a big WrestleMania push. Each match, with the exception of that tag team match, did what it needed to do. Naomi and Jade and Bianca, their story needed to go forward. It finally did. The storyline where Randy Orton returns to fight Kevin Owens finally needed to happen. It finally did. They did all of this stuff on one night, which is impressive for Triple H because, again, he usually dreads doing one thing on a show, let alone 3 things on a show. But he did 2 returns and a heel turn. So I'm pretty sure he's burned out and he thinks that he's covered for the next month. No, you still have to do stuff for the Intercontinental Championship. You still have to do stuff for the United States title, the tag team belts. You still have to fill in the other parts of the card. Now, it just struck me that Travis Scott was in the ring. And look, everybody is saying, what the hell is he doing there? Why does we need Travis Scott there? Is it possible that Travis Scott could take a bump or something in the upcoming events? What would you guys think if Bad Bunny came in to do something wrestling wise with Travis Scott? Even if it's just, him throwing a clothesline at Travis Scott or something like that. That could be really fun. That could be especially fun. Otherwise, he's just there. He's just along for the ride because The Rock thinks he's cool and The Rock wants to be cool. The Rock desperately wants to be cool, by God. Talk about desperation. Anyway, I've laid out my thoughts. Feel free to disagree in the comment section below. But like, share, subscribe. I will talk to you guys later.